I'm going to use a jigsaw to cut this long curve. Jigsaws are excellent tools for making freehand and internal cuts on pieces of wood. You can make circles or curves. You just need to make sure that the foot of the jigsaw is flat against the surface that you're cutting. Jigsaws have several different blades that can be attached. Some have aggressive teeth, intermediate, narrow blades for cutting tight circles or curves, and metal cutting blades. I'll use the intermediate one for this long curve. Just lift the lever on the front of the jigsaw and insert the shank of the blade and release. That should lock it in place. Note that I've made these setup adjustments before plugging the power in. That's very important. Okay, let's look at the length of the blade. The blade needs to be long enough to pass through the material completely, even when it's in its upward position. With my material secured well off the edge of the table and my saw set up, I'm ready to get started. I have a long sweeping curve and a short inside angle to cut. I'll make the short cut first, as it's easier to back out of. Put the foot of the saw on the material, back it off just a little so the blade isn't touching, start the saw, and then move into the cut. When I've finished, I'll release the trigger and let the saw stop before pulling it out of the material. It is possible to cut around that corner if you first drill a hole in which you can turn the bit at a sharp angle. In this case, I don't need to do that because I can come from the other side. Jigsaws have a variable speed trigger which allows you to start slowly and then increase the speed as you move into the cut. There is a trigger lock button which will keep the saw on until the trigger is depressed again. And the saw blade angle can be adjusted for beveled cuts with the help of a shop technician. I'm using one hand to hold this piece, but you should only do that if you can hold it far away from the area that you're cutting. It's not safe otherwise.